So, initially, I thought that this list was going to be harder for me to make than my best movies of all time list because, unfortunately, there are so many more bad movies than good. Well, this list was hard for me to make, but for a different reason. Going through all the bad movies I've seen in my lifetime, I had realized that I haven't seen as many bad movies as I originally thought, which I guess is a good thing. Throughout my life, I've been wary of movies I've watched and have determined what films to watch based on word of mouth of friends and family, or fellow user reviews, or critic reviews. So the films on my list may be very different than what you think they will be. Something that will make this list unique is that I didn't include films that, while they are bad, are still enjoyable, but not for the reasons that the film intended. This includes films like Birdemic, The Room,
Did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Rocky and Bullwinkle, Sharknado, Plan from Outer Space, The Wicker Man,
My eyes! My eyes! Ah! Ah!
The Happening,
What? No!
and Troll 2.
Oh my God!
Also, I decided to split my worst movie lists into three categories of films: live action, animation, and television. So, without further ado, let me share with you now my top 15 worst live action movies of all time. Number 15, Man of Steel. Hear me out. So I know that there are a lot of people that like this movie, and I kind of get why. The action by some people can be considered very cool, and the dark themes is interesting. Not for me, but I can see why it is interesting for other people. And I do see why the action is interesting and cool for other people, just not personally me. Personally, the more I think about this movie, the more I despise it. I'm not against a darker take on Superman, but this is not how it should be. There are so many plot holes and bad writing and odd acting in this and editing choices in this movie. I lost count after a while. The more I think about this movie, the more I dislike it. There are so many issues I have with this movie, but if I talk about all of them right now, this video will definitely go beyond an hour long. Maybe I'll film a separate video just on Man of Steel sometime in the future, but for now, all I'm going to say is this movie sucks. Number 14, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. The Transformers franchise is not a very good one. The action is way too loud and CGI-ish. The writing is terrible, the characters are terrible, and the racist jokes, just really? Even though all the Transformers films are not that good, easily the worst is Revenge of the Fallen. There are so many bad things about this movie. John Turturro's ass, skids and mudflap, the annoying parents, and of course,
I am directly below the enemy scrotum.
I get why people like these movies, but I personally cannot get into them. Number 13, Phantom of the Opera. So, it may be cheating to put this film on the list because I only watched about the first third of the movie, but I only watched a third of the movie because it was just so bad and cringeworthy. Whose idea was it to hire freaking Gerard Butler as the Phantom? What a stupid idea. In fact, none of the actors can really sing. Even Emmy Rossum, who plays a character who's supposed to sing beautifully, doesn't even sound that good. I mean, I have nothing against her though, she's just a fantastic actress, just not cast right. What I saw of this film is pretty dumb and makes no sense. I guess some good things about the film are the costumes and production design, but besides that, I just can't get into this movie. If you like it, fine, but I don't think that I can ever like it, let alone finish it. Number 12, The Last Airbender. So let's go back in time briefly to about, say, early 2010. I had just finished watching reruns of Avatar: The Last Airbender on TNIC, which is still one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Avatar, and is for sure my favorite Nickelodeon show of all time. So a few weeks after I finished the finale, which is amazing by the way, I saw a commercial on the regular Nickelodeon channel about a movie adaptation of the show coming out soon, and I was beyond excited. Back then, I was not as critical of movies as I am now, and back then, I had no idea who M. Night Shyamalan was. Um, but so I was really excited, and I had no idea that this movie was going to suck. Um, so the opportunity comes for me to watch it, and my dad says that it got really bad reviews, like really, really bad reviews, and that we shouldn't see it. And I was extremely disappointed, but I was like, okay, fine, I don't want to sit through a bad movie. Um, be, um, I agreed with him also because the memory of seeing the fourth Indiana Jones movie was still fresh in my memory. Um, in my mind. From the bad acting, the awful writing, the terrible special effects, and a ton of pointless exposition, there is a lot to dislike about this movie. This is a movie based on one of the greatest animated shows of all time. It should have been a lot better and a lot more memorable. Unfortunately, all this film now is just a stain on M. Night Shyamalan's crappy career, with the exception of a few films. So fast forward to like 4 years later, 4 years ago, 2014, I think, I get really curious about this movie again, and I decide to see it. And yeah, it was pretty bad. I wasn't as devastated though because of what my dad said all those years ago about the bad reviews. But it still is a really, really bad movie. I really like the original Dragon Ball series, but I'm not in love with it. So I wasn't as devastated as many other Dragon Ball fans were when this abomination of a movie came out and had almost nothing to do with the source material. I mean, I get why they are upset. It is a really bad movie. There was so much potential to make an awesome movie based on a great show, but instead all we got was a movie with terrible effects, bad acting, and too many cliches to count. I feel bad for actors Chow Yun-fat and Justin Chadwick, who are both really talented but now have to include this film on their resumes. I think this film killed Chow Yun-fat's career. Luckily for Justin, he now has a role in Shameless, which is a very successful and popular show on Showtime. Fun fact, his co-star in that show and in the movie is Emmy Rossum. Moving on, movie sucks. That is all. Number 10. The Cat in the... This movie shouldn't even... This movie is so bad, you can't even... When I think about it, I can't even talk properly. This movie has nothing to do with the incredible book by Dr. Seuss. It shouldn't even be called Cat in the Hat. It should be called... I don't know. Damn it, this movie is making me think... This movie is not making me think properly, and it's making me talk bad. Lee. I don't even know if that's proper grammar or not. Just, let's move on. I feel dumber the more I think about this movie. Ugh. Number 9. Baby Geniuses. I remember visiting a cousin's house, sitting in our grandma's small dark room with two of my male cousins that were about 5 to 7 years younger than me. We were all pretty bored, and the adults were playing somewhere else, and all the girl cousins were playing somewhere else. So one of my aunts decided to put the DVD for Baby Geniuses on. All three of us had nothing else to do, so we decided to give this movie a shot. None of us finished the movie, not just because we were kids with short attention spans, but because this film is actually really boring, with an extremely stupid premises. Babies that have the intelligence levels of adult geniuses? Really? But even with a stupid premise like this, you can do something with it that is so bad that it can be considered good. But this film doesn't even do that. It's just bad and dull and takes itself way too seriously. I'm not going to go into every single bad aspect about this film. Let's just move on. Number 8. Battlefield Earth. So this film does have a few things that are so good that they are bad. John Travolta's performances, and this line.
We've decided to keep you here for another 50 cycles. With endless options for renewal. With endless options for renewal. With endless options for renewal.
However, the bad overshadowed the unintentionally good so much for me to consider this film a guilty pleasure like I do with The Room and Batman and Robin. The biggest flaw of this movie is that it tries so hard to be like other popular sci-fi movies out there and fails miserably. This was actually a passion project for Travolta. Alright, let's move on. Number 7. Hannah Montana, the movie. Everything that is bad about the show is exactly what is bad about this movie. Just like the show, this is a shallow, corporate, sellout, cliched mess that is acting like it is just so relatable and good for kids. There is nothing good about this movie, especially for kids. Oh, even the brother Jackson, who is occasionally funny in the show, has nothing funny to say or do in the movie. I despise the show, but I despise the movie even more. I'm actually surprised that it's so low on my list, but then I remember the other 6 films I've got to mention, and I think, as bad as it is, Hannah Montana the movie is definitely number 7 on this list. Number 6. God, make it stop! Make it stop! Number 5. Superhero movie. Oh my god, why did I watch this garbage? This movie was on TV one time and I decided to watch it and I regret it. This film tries so hard to be a good parody movie like Spaceballs or Scream and fails miserably. What makes a parody movie good is when the parody movie makes fun of the original in an intelligent way or adds something to the original. Superhero movie does not add anything new or make fun of popular superhero movies in any intelligent or clever ways. This movie reenacts scenes from movies like Spider-Man, the original with Tobey Maguire, not so much to make fun of them, but to trick you into liking superhero movie by affecting your nostalgic feelings towards the original Spider-Man movie. I don't want to think about this movie anymore. Let's move on. Number 4. Movie 43. Oh my god, how many of these movies are there? What makes this possibly the worst of them all is that there are so many talented actors that got suckered into appearing in this film and probably tricked and lied to. I'm not going to mention any of them or include any video clips from this movie because I don't want to embarrass them any further. Plus, I'm sure they have gone through enough embarrassment already just by having their names on the poster. So let's just move on to the next film. Number 3. Jack and Jill. My least favorite Adam Sandler film is my 3rd most hated movie of all time. This movie is the equivalent of scratching your balls with a cheese grater. I actually felt physical pain when I watched this movie. Sitting through this garbage was extremely tough, and it pained me even more to see Al Pacino in this movie. Oh my god, what a mess. Oh god, I'm having flashbacks. No, I need to move on. No, just on to number 2. So I decided not to include any clips of this movie in this video because I am not exaggerating when I say this, but literally every single image in this movie is freaking scary, like super disturbing. There is so much disturbing imagery in this kids movie. It's not supposed to be intentionally scary, but it is. I still have like nightmares just thinking about this horrible movie. Seriously, just like did the producers really look at this movie and go like, that looks good. That could be, great for kids. That could be a good expendable kids movie. Ironically, this movie actually is really memorable because of how disturbing it is. The CGI is not just horrible, it's just horrifying. I just can't believe that this movie was just even made in the first place. The first Mask with Jim Carrey, I actually really like. It's not a perfect movie, but it's a really good movie. But I really like it, and to follow up with this disturbing, traumatic crap, I don't know. On to my least favorite movie of all time. And my number one worst movie of all time is God's Not Dead. So, for those of you who know me, you probably have heard me mention this film at least once, and how truly awful it is. Let me explain the main reason why I don't like this movie. There are so many reasons why this movie is absolutely awful, but the biggest one is that this movie panders really, really hard to Christians, and literally all the atheists in this movie either look like an idiot or a jerk. If you're going to make a movie trying to convince people to believe in God and put their faith in Him, don't make fun of or insult the people that don't believe in God. Come on. There are so many reasons why this movie is awful that I have to address them in one single video. Yep, I have decided that I am going to do a full video just on this film soon. It is going to be part 1 of my series of film analysis videos, and that will be coming up soon. I have to talk about this movie, and how blasphemous it is. So for now, that is it, and all I'm going to say is that this movie is really, really bad. Unfortunately, that isn't even the worst to come. I still have 2 other lists to make. Worst animated films of all time and worst television movies of all time. And I am really not looking forward to talking about them, but I made those lists, so I might as well talk about them. And what's even worse is that what makes this even worse is that those films are even worse than the ones on this list. Well, except for God's Not Dead, because that's absolute garbage. Nothing will be worse than that film. So, yeah. Get ready to delve with me into some really, really, truly awful crap. I'll have 2 videos on animated and television movies coming out soon. But for now, I'm Cotton Cola, and may God help us all. Bye.